Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to review the Santa Clara County, California real estate market analysis for September 2008. My name is Robert Whitelaw, and I'm a licensed real estate broker in the state of California. I'm also a member of the National Association of Realtors and a certified E-Pro, and I'm also the president and CEO of Whitelaw & Sons Real Estate Services, servicing all of Silicon Valley. Now, before we jump right into the numbers here and as we're presenting them on the screen, I wanted to first apologize for it taking me a little bit longer than usual to get these numbers up this month. I did a little computer upgrade that threw me back a bit, and I'll tell you what, nothing motivates you to get things squared away than a few dozen emails and actually meeting someone here in Morgan Hill who asked me why this wasn't done yet. So let's go ahead and jump right into the numbers. It's really a mixed bag. And another thing I want to point out before we get too far into these numbers is these will not reflect any of the recent economic changes, I guess. I'm looking for a much more dramatic word than just economic changes. But the stuff that we've seen over the last few weeks in October are not reflected in this. So as far as I'm concerned, these are great from a let's look at it and see how it went standpoint. But I'll tell you what, these last few weeks with the economy could have been a major game changer for us. I've actually been looking at the numbers weekly since this has all happened, and I'm not seeing any immediate stopping in the business in general. But let's wait till the end of October to see what the total numbers are. That'll be our first month with this big economic change having had its effect. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what happened in September, just keeping in mind that these are not numbers that are being influenced at all by this economic collapse that we've seen over the last few weeks. Now, the first good news to note is that blue bar. And as we know from previous presentations, the blue bar is the number of homes sold. And you can see we've actually had a substantial increase in the number of homes sold when compared to last year. In fact, it's really more like 2006 in terms of total number of homes sold. It's actually up 72.5%. That gave us a grand total of 902 homes sold. That's an increase of 379 homes from the same time last year. That is fantastic news. Now, the new listings aren't up a lot. I mean, they're up a little bit from last year. I would have liked to have seen that number down a little bit. It actually increased by 9.2%. That gave us a total number of homes listed in the month of September of 2008 of 1,890, and that was up 160 homes from last year. Now, the next number is the one that's the depressing one because we're sort of back to that trend that we were starting to see slow before. The rate of increase here seems pretty steady. What I'd like to see is this number start to slow down. We had seen for a few months this number slowing down. We'll see a little bit more in the month-to-month comparison on what's going on in the nearer term. But in terms of long-term, going all the way back to 2005, 2004, it's just been a steady increase in this inventory number, and that's really where things need to get under control. Total inventory increased 18.5% over the same time last year, giving us a grand total of 5,776 homes currently for sale in September of 2008 in Santa Clara County. That was an increase of 901 homes from the previous year, so nearly 1,000 more homes on the market than last year. Now, the good news in this is that the magic ratio is still working in our favor. Now, if you'll remember, the ratio that I'm referring to here is the total inventory versus the total number of homes that's sold. So another way to think about it is if the inventory and sales numbers froze right now, how long would it take? How many months worth of inventory? How long would it take to sell all those homes in inventory? Now, that number is at 6.4, so it would take us 6.4 months to sell every home that's currently on the market if all the numbers froze where they are right now. Another way to think about it is for every home that sells, there's about 6 homes on the market trying to get sold. That's actually pretty good. We've had a lot worse numbers in this regard in previous months, so it's not bad. In fact, last month it was 6.6. So despite the fact inventory is up, these sales numbers are making up for it, and we are still seeing a relatively healthy move on the ratio, on the relationship between sales and inventory. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the same numbers, but just over the past months. Now, these first numbers you're seeing coming up are obviously sales. The good news is sales remain good. I think we can officially say we have seen an extension of the selling period last year, of the summer season, so to speak. Now, last year we saw the summer season sort of come to a halt in September. As you can see, last year between August and September, there was a pretty substantial drop in the sales numbers. Between August and September of 2008, we actually saw an increase in sales, which is fantastic news for our market. It was up 0.8%. That's only more homes sold this month than last month. But since we would in a normal market, we would expect the number of homes sold to go down. The fact that we're seeing sort of a prolonged sales period where the people are still out there buying homes is really very good news. Now, the number of homes that went onto the market also increased, and we usually see a little bit of a dip, which tends to deepen as we get further into winter, as folks head into Christmas. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But in the inventory numbers that we talked about, the concerns there. So now in the long-term view, year to year, it looked pretty bad. But if we look at the numbers compared to previous months, it actually doesn't look that bad. Our inventory numbers are actually still down when compared to previous months, going all the way back to April. We've actually had pretty steady numbers from April to August, or April to July, August, and then we've actually started to see a decline from July all the way till now. So that's only 2 or 3 months worth of history that we can rely on there, but I still think that's a fairly good trend. So if we can keep these inventory numbers going down, or at least keep these sales numbers up, that would be great. The downside here is that we are seeing winter starting to creep in, so it's going to stall that process. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in January. And again, we're in a market that could substantially change as a result of the economic situation. But I think what's finally happening here is folks are looking at these prices and realizing these are some amazingly low prices. We're seeing some home prices way down, and we'll see those in a minute when we talk about where prices are now, and we can take a look at where they're sitting versus when was the last time we saw the average price at this price range. Now, the total number of listings was only up 3.8%. That's not a lot, but for this season, it's actually more than I would have expected. I would have expected an actual drop in the number of homes listed. The reason why these numbers are staying so high is because we're seeing short sales and foreclosures continuing to be entering the market. And that was a net increase of 70 homes from August to September being added to the market. Now, the inventory numbers were down 3.2% between August and September, and that's great news. That was a net change of 189 homes. So that's great. Last year at this time, we saw an increase between August and September in inventory. So the fact that we're seeing that the reverse of that now, it's at least it's a little bit comforting. Now, let's move on to the home prices numbers as promised. Now, these are this last bit's going to be a little shocking. We're going to see a pretty big drop here. Now, the average sales price for a home in Santa Clara County was $750,359. Now, that's off substantially from the peak of about a little over $1 million that we were seeing at the same time last year. Now, that is a 29.7% decrease, or in dollar value, about a $317,180 drop. And I think this is exactly what is driving those inventory numbers down more recently. Buyers are seeing a number like this. They're hearing people talking about an average home price drop like this, and I think that's really drawing people out into the market. Now, the highest priced home in Santa Clara County was located in Los Gatos. It was on Matilija Drive, and it was sold for $7,200,000. Its original list price was $9,450,000. So those folks had to bring their price down quite a bit in order to get that home sold, and it was on the market for 99 days. Now, the lowest priced home was in San Jose on Stowe Avenue. Relatively small home, if I recall correctly. I believe it was only a 2-bedroom, but that sold for $175,000, and even that had to take a big dip before anyone would finally purchase it, and that started off at $284,900, and it was on the market for 81 days. So these are the numbers that are driving the inventory drop and sustaining the sales. Buyers are coming out and seeing these things. Now, anecdotally, just to sort of calibrate everyone to what I'm seeing from folks I've been working with here in Morgan Hill and other parts of the South County area, we did see a lot of buyers sort of head for the hills when this market went south. They really fell into two camps: folks who suddenly just found that the rules were changing daily on their ability to get a loan, and folks who suddenly couldn't get a loan that were able to previously, and then other folks who saw things kind of head south and decided maybe it was better to wait. So it'll be interesting to see how these numbers play out next month, because it really is a big game changer, I think, for everyone who keeps an eye on this market. Now, let's take a look at the home prices just over the past month. Now, this is going all the way back to June of last year. I don't think we're going to see anything that's going to be a big indicator of where we're going to go in future months, because as you'll see, once we hit April, May, there is just a steady drop in home prices as we move forward. So there's clearly a trend going all the way back to April of average home prices just going down, all the way through the quote-unquote hot sales period that we usually enjoy here in Santa Clara County, the summer months. And then coming right into September with a drop. In fact, usually we'll see a little bit of an increase, a little bit of a bump from June into August and September, and we just didn't see that. In fact, we saw the exact opposite. Again, whenever you see things that are completely at odds to the trends of previous years, I'm not talking total amounts here, but the relationship to the months before them and the months after them, that's usually indicating a big market change. Now, if we hadn't had those 2 or 3 weeks of absolute chaos in the stock market with all the various things going on and the bailout and whatnot, I'd actually be projecting pretty good things for next month as far as seeing inventory come down, perhaps even an extension of sales going all the way into October. I'm a little bit more hesitant to project that. I think we'll still see some sales. I think people are still out there getting some bargains, but I think that the number of homes sold may get artificially depressed by the fact that there was just so much confusion about, can you get a loan? What's the new standard for getting your loan? That folks who are in a position to buy and who want to buy aren't going to be able to get that ironed out in time to make the October numbers. So what we may see is a blip in October where people just can't get things bought and things get delayed, and then those might end up showing up in November. And we'll see that frankly, a lot of that's guesswork, to be honest with you. Now, the change from last month, from August to September, the average price was down 11.6%. That's a dollar value change of $98,057. Let's go ahead and jump ahead now and take a look at the days on market for the same months in past years. Remember, this is just the month of September, going all the way back to 1999. And we are going to see that we've had a pretty substantial increase in the amount of time it takes for homes to get sold. It's actually a 77.6% increase. That's a net increase of 38 days from the same time last year. Frankly, this number doesn't surprise me. We're seeing that homes are finally starting to sell. So imagine what we've had. We've had very low sales for a very long time, which has resulted in a lot of homes being on the market for a really long time. Now, during those low sales periods, the homes that were selling quickly were ones that were absolute perfect examples in their price range. So these were ones that offered the most, were the most upgraded, the most well kept in their price range. So those went quickly. Those other ones that weren't bad homes stuck on the market just because there were so few buyers out there interested in buying at all. And now we're starting to see some of those homes get sold. So by virtue of that, the number of homes that are selling that have been on the market longer is increasing. So it's more about sort of flushing out the existing inventory than it is about a real increase in the average days on market. And we've talked about this before, about how some homes just are staying on the market longer just because there's so many homes out there on the market. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the same numbers for recent months, see if we can see any exciting trends here. Nothing really. A steady increase in the days on market going all the way back to May of 2008. And again, I think we're going to continue to see this go up, because if sales continue to stay where they are or go up, that just means we're flushing out more and more homes from the inventory that have been on there for a lot longer. So it's more about moving older stock in the inventory off the market than it is about a real net increase in the amount of days on market. I would say that, you've been able to expect about 60 to 75 days on market if you list your home right now. I don't think this number should make you think that has really changed. If you get an agent who's really doing the right things, getting the right attention for your property, and if your property falls into that category of being a great home at its price range, you're still going to have a really good chance of getting it sold. In fact, probably even a slightly better chance, just because there's just more buyers out there trying to buy. Now, the change in numbers between August and September, there was actually an increase of 16% from last month. That's a net increase of 12 days. So again, it's more about emptying the inventory than anything else. I think the key things to take away from this, that sales have really stayed higher longer than expected. They've been beating out last year. We're not seeing the same trends. Whether we were in a normal market or a typical market, or if you compare it to last year, we are bucking the normal trend. So sales are continuing to stay level or even increase, whereas normally at this time, they would be going down. So that's an interesting number for me. I think that's a good sign. We'll see how things go in October. Now, if you want to get in contact with me, you can find my website at www.soldbyrobert.com. Of course, all the ways to contact me are listed there. Plus, you'll also find my other YouTube videos relating to market updates for smaller communities within Santa Clara County. You'll also find articles I've written relating to real estate, and you can also find my weekly podcast there. If you would prefer to contact me via email, you can just send those to robert@soldbyrobert.com. Or if you'd like to give me a phone call, you can reach me at 408-852-0525. You can also reach me online at AOL Instant Messenger, Google Talk, or Yahoo Instant Messenger with the screen name The Rebel Broker. You can also reach me via Skype at Rebel Broker. And of course, referrals are always appreciated. If you or anyone you know is interested in buying real estate in Silicon Valley, I would love to give you a hand and see if I can't help. Also, if you know someone who's looking for real estate in other parts of the country, I've actually got a referral network going right now. So if anywhere in the country you need a real estate agent, I can help you find a good one. Thanks again for taking the time to review what I have to say on these subjects, and I will talk to you all next time.